There's no chance for Sagan, but what about Andre Greipel as he comes up to the line? A huge effort by Greipel, but the second kick by Gaviria stole the day.
Now that was a sprint.
Who is the fastest sprinter in cycling? It's one of the most exciting aspects of any race, especially at the Tour de France every year. So we're going to tackle it and rumble right now here on In the Saddle. Steve Schlanger with Christian Vande Velde, a lot of guys to choose from. I don't know if we've had this much depth in sprinting in a long time.
Or ever.
Yeah, I mean, you look back over the years, we used to have the big, long lead-out trains. We'd have 2 or 3 guys who would win every stage at the Grand Tours. But this year, sometimes it's a free-for-all, and it's great. I mean, there's nothing not to love about it. So it also makes it kind of hard to figure out who the best guy is sometimes. Christian, who is the best sprinter in the sport right now?
I mean, gun to my head right now, and the first thing that's going to blurt out of my head. And again, this is for fun, so let's do get too crazy.
No. It's not fun, Christian. This is serious. This is very serious.
Fernando Gaviria is for me is the most talented sprinter out there right now. The biggest challenge that he has right now, and not being able to succeed in keeping that throne, in my opinion, is his team right now. Switching over teams right now, UAE is always changed when you're switching equipment, changing everything, you know. But the biggest positive to that could be Alexander Kristoff. And if they get their act together, I think that Alexander Kristoff coming to the line together, and you having such a strong guy, who's so strong, and is already fast. You know, Alexander Kristoff is a bona fide winner many times over in many different races.
But he's also a lead-out man for the first time, so this is new to him.
But he does a good job, man. So no one knows the business better than a sprinter already. I mean, it does change things, but the way he sprints is usually a lot of times in the saddle, very powerful. So if he goes out for 500 meters out, man, that 1-2 combination, I don't know how you're going to beat that.
Isn't it different, though, to have a guy behind you that you're setting up versus just getting yourself into position to sprint, just the mentality when you launch your moves, things like that?
Yeah,
doesn't that have to change a lot?
Yeah, a little bit, but I think the biggest change is being a subservient role, and really, you know, you're going to get 7th place if you do well and keep on sprinting to the line, or even 12th or 15th, or not going to matter. So I think that's one of the biggest changes. I mean, after that, if you're really going to start going down the list, though, I mean, Dylan Groenewegen right now is setting the world on fire, and he started doing really well last year in the Tour de France. Surprised me. I got smashed on picks a couple times because of him. Great sprinter. So he could be someone to watch right now. But I think that really Fernando Gaviria, he's the man.
I agree with you simply because until he stops winning, I think that I'm going to pick him because he's proven it now over the course of more than a year. And, you know, even though he kind of came onto the scene pretty quickly, he ripped off some races in consecutive fashion that were prominent races, prominent stage victories. He's won on the big stage. And until guys beat him consistently, I think he's still got to be the fastest guy in the peloton, right?
And more importantly, I think of how many races he's messed up. I mean, think about when he crashed in Milan-San Remo, crossed over a wheel, bam, down, last 300 meters to go. And then I think of in Germany last summer, taking a wrong turn with 200 meters to go. I mean, poor Brian Holm, I thought he was going to crash his car watching it happen. I think of more of those, the missed opportunities that he's already had, being a young rider, getting a little too excited at times, and the fashion that he's won. When I think of what he did in Paris Tours a couple years back, amazing. And the amount of ferocity he has, and he's not that big of a guy, that he could jump away from this, so the kind of speed he has, and from far out he could go. But my biggest thing, though, thinking back, though, is really going to be Alexander Kristoff. And if those two could get their act together, and really it's up to Alexander, really, to sacrifice himself and his ambitions.
What's your criteria? I mean, is it just a guy who's the fastest based on pure speed? Is it the lead out? You know, what determines why you believe Gaviria is the top sprinter?
I mean, just to make it easy, I was thinking about who can win and who could be, if I'm going to put all the best sprinters into a field sprint and make it, let's say it's a 200K stage, it isn't too obnoxiously hard, there isn't any climbs, who's the best sprinter out of 10 times? Who's going to win the averages? I would say that'd be the easiest, because I think that, maybe there's some guys who could go faster than him in a long 200-meter sprint, maybe like Kittel if he really gets his act together, but from what I've been seeing lately, that's not happening right now. I'd love him to see him to get back. Like, I love the guy, and he could sprint fast, but We have some younger guys, massive power. But I think the game of cycling is changing so much these days that they're putting so much more obstacles in the way of these guys that the massive 6-foot-something guys, almost 200 pounds, they're going to get beat up so much these days. So I think that it's like the hybrid sprinters, like the Fernando Gavirias. Those are the guys who are coming to the forefront.
Yeah, for me, I mean, it would be a different answer if you said, okay, you know what, standing start, 300 meters to a finish line.
Then we got track races.
Who wins, right? Yeah. Versus who wins a stage in a field sprint at the Tour de France.
Yeah, stage 17.
Right, exactly.
Or stage 21, things like that. It's a totally different animal.
I think there's a very big difference. Like for the standing start, I would say a guy like Caleb Hewitt, because I think that he's got that kind of speed.
Yeah.
But to me, it's more impressive when you have a guy who can win in different ways, who can follow his lead out properly, who can have patience, who can come from the back if he needs to when he gets out of position, who has the presence of mind during all of the chaos swirling around him to say, okay, let's calm it down, let's find the right wheel, and let's figure out where we're going to launch our sprint. I mean, that's the most impressive aspect for a sprinter to me.
And even like you go, there's so many guys, like you said at the beginning, there's a massive depth right now that we got. I mean, we haven't even said anything about Viviani. And Viviani, with the most likely the best lead-out train in the business by a long shot. So that alone gives you 20% more wins just having that lead-out train. And the speed that the dude's got, it's impressive too. So maybe he has the best high-end speed. You know, coming from the track, same thing as Fernando. Actually, Fernando got the best of him a couple times at the World Championships in the Omnium. So both those guys have the same pedigree background coming. Just being that Viviani, we think more of just because of Rio and winning the Omnium there.
Right. Well, we agree on this one. So Fernando Gaviria is our top sprinter right now.
Don't let us down, Fernando. You're the man.
Well, now that we said that, he's never going to win another race.
Exactly.
So,
it's over.
Yeah, we've
stricken
him with the curse. What do you folks think as far as the top sprinter in the field right now? Let us know with the comments below.